Welcome to the Coffee and Questions podcast. I am your host, Michelle Berman-Michael, and my mission with this podcast is simple: to help realtors and loan officers across the world tap into the value Instagram can have for them and their business. To me, organic business that comes to us is the name of the game. On this show, you're going to hear from myself, other experts across social media, and also others that are just like you, selling real estate and doing loans and doing it at a high level on social media. And you and I, Jeff, have talked offline more times than I can count about in markets like this, how doubling down versus retracting is certainly where people need to go. But a lot of people right now are saying, I'm checking the box of posting on social media, but I don't feel like it's doing anything for me. And I think that that's a good segue into the primary conversation that I want to have with you today about the power of our face. There's only one Jeff. There's only one me, Michelle. For anybody listening, there's only one of you. And there's definitely some power behind that. So let's start there. Just kind of what's your take on doubling down versus retracting?
The good news for us, and by us, I mean those that get it, those that understand social, those that are going to get on video, those that understand that consistency will win. You can pretty much know that you have job security because the majority of your competitors just don't get it. And, even my own company, that's the reality. And I have no problem saying that. And if somebody heard it, they're not going to be surprised that I said it because, we have a marketing department, which is kick ass and does posting on social for people for them. But guess what? It's just a bunch of static images. It's the same old generic mortgage or real estate stuff. It's not garnering engagement. It's not going to show up on feeds and it's not going to win the game. But most of our peers, that's just what they I would be on social. I'm going to hire somebody to do it for me because I don't have time. And it's just a bunch of BS. I mean, social media should be nowadays your number one prospecting strategy. There is nothing else. Over the last few years, going to networking events and shaking hands and kissing babies, it's just, it doesn't exist. And the world doesn't want it anymore. As we come out of the COVID world, it's more people want touchless service and that's where the world is going, and you have to embrace it and accept it.
The reality of what you were saying is something that you and I both very much so agree on. And it's the scalability factor that's involved in social media. And obviously, people that know me know that I'm an Instagram person. I bleed Instagram. I believe that it's the most powerful platform for you to be able to create connection, to create virtual relationships that transform your business, not just in, tangible, direct, I want to buy a house or I want to get a loan, but in relationships like what you and I have, Jeff, right? Where you've come and you've spoken for me. I've been able to do a ton of stuff for you. You've been a referral source on a personal level for me, for the lender that I've had to use, all of the things, right? That relationship.
And the other thing about it is when you think about like 10 years ago, how did we market? Right? What were our spheres of influence like? And you think about things like billboards, you think about newspaper articles, you think about, grocery carts, right? Bus park benches. And you think about, went to BNI, you went to chamber meetings, you door knocked, right? And when you really think about it, your audience was fairly limited on how big it could be. Friends, family, past customers, and the people that you could touch when you went to these various events. And when you think about social and you put it in that perspective and you think about the exponential reach that you have and the parasocial relationships that you can now make with people, it's mind-boggling, and it's more mind-boggling that people don't get it and don't take advantage of it.
Totally. And we've all done it, right? We've all gone to the grocery store and there's that little plaque on our shopping cart, right? We've seen it here in the small town that I live in now. Definitely is billboard central. Imagine if every person that we built a relationship with, we had to plan a trip to go see. So if I made a list of all of those people that are important to me as far as maintaining my relationship, and I didn't have social media, I would literally be on a plane every single week, going and trying to maintain my relationships with all of these people so that they didn't forget about me. And the reality of what social media has allowed us to do is that the relationships we can have with all of those people who are instrumental in our business, the scalability factor it is mind boggling what we're able to do. Let's say on a piece of paper, I have 100 names that are my top confidants in the industry as far as business, referral partners, you name it. It would take me 2 years to get through 100 people, right? I would literally have to be on a plane every single week for 2 years straight to meet and see every single one of those people. Instead, I can use Instagram DMs, I can use Facebook Messenger, I can use LinkedIn, I can use Twitter, I can use all of these different platforms to have conversations with all 100 of those people every single week. That's the difference, right? And to your point, the scalability factor is more than just right now. It's creating this domino effect of what's going to happen for us in 6 months or a year, so that if and when the market changes, if and when things pick back up and we have a refi boom because of the buyer situation, right? You are so top of mind with all of these people. You're not all of a sudden scrambling for business. You're way ahead of that game.
Bingo.
Well, there's a specific thing that you posted on social media not long ago that I want to talk about together, because I think people need to remember this and write it down. But you said 90% of people sell and 10% brand. Those 10% that brand sell 90% more than those that sell. Where did that come from? And talk me through kind of why you are so passionate about the thought behind that.
Came from Gary Vee. So, what he says, I believe, because everything he's taught me, you guys know Gary Vaynerchuk, he's the godfather. Everything he's ever predicted, if you follow him, he's been spot on. But, I don't think a lot of people will understand it. They may not even understand just contextually what it meant, but, we as humans do things the way it was always done, right? That's just typically how we are. Which is also kind of the definition of insanity in a way, doing things the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And that's the reality of where we are today, and for me, it was very simple. I can describe this because if you're a lender or a real estate agent, you can understand what I'm about ready to describe. I've been in the business since 2000. And so 22 years. And I spent a good number of those years, about 15 of them, what I felt like was chasing business. And I was good at it. I was doing 200 transactions a year. I was a top producer, top 10 in my company every year, sometimes top 5. But I always was frustrated because it's like, as good as my relationships would be, you're only as good as the shiny object that comes around the street, right? The next day. I mean, I had real estate partners that we vacationed together. We were really good friends, but yet I'd still get that phone call every once in a while. And I invested in their business. I split the Zillow leads. I did all of that stuff. I was perpetually available to them. And, but if somebody came in with something that could help them with their business, I'd get that phone call saying, do you have this? And if not, I think I got to give it a shot. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like all we've been through. And when that changed for me was when I really learned how to bring value. And that was by doing video and social media.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go follow my guests on social media. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving us a review wherever you consume this content.